Hello there and welcome. I am Tracy and I run Chester and Pearl, where I draw cute cat art that I use to make products that bring joy to cats and cat people. Today we are going to a market, but this is not a market vlog. I'm going to take advantage of a typical outdoor 10 by 10 tent setup to give you a full tour of everything I use in my market setup, all of my displays, even down to the little essentials that I like to keep backstage. And everything that I use has to fit in my little Toyota RAV4. So if you also have a relatively small vehicle, a small SUV, and do markets, hopefully this is helpful because the size of the displays that I use and the weight, that all factors into the displays that I choose because they have to fit into a small SUV. I've been doing markets for 5 years now, so a lot of these items are the result of trial and error and fails and successes. So I think that I have a pretty good setup now. And everything is going to be linked in the description below. And if I missed anything, just leave me a comment and I will do my best to answer. This event was the Cary Farmers Market Fall Festival in Cary, North Carolina. And it was a great event. It was super crowded the whole time. So there's lots of crowd noise. And we were also on a lawn in front of a bandstand where bands were playing all day long. Lots of noise. So the remainder of this video is all voiceover that I recorded right here in the lovely silence of my office. So I will use the voiceovers with the video that I shot that day. So with that, I think we are ready to go to Cary. So let's go set up. I prefer and prioritize events where I can pull my car right up to my spot to unload, but sometimes I need a wagon and I love this extra long one. It holds so much at one time so that I need as few trips as possible. I store my cat toys in 12-gallon tubs and can easily place 2 side by side in this wagon, yet it folds up pretty small. Love it. I'm going to show you this tent setup in real time so you can see how easy it is for one person to assemble. You want a sturdy tent, one that will withstand the elements. I've had this Urmax tent for 5 years and it's still going strong. I've replaced the canopy because it yellowed after a few years. I also prefer the white canopy because colors will tend to add a color cast to your products and it keeps everything nice and bright inside your tent so people can easily see your products. Several events I do require white canopies too. Oh, here's a tip. So lean the tent on one leg while you open it to make opening it easier than pulling across the ground because then there'll be no friction. This is another reason why I like to arrive at events early too, because tent setup always takes more space than your allotted 10 by 10 footprint. You may also want walls. Sometimes the tent will come with them, sometimes they're extra. I didn't bring mine to this event, but walls are a must for multi-day events where you're leaving your tent set up overnight, and they're also useful for blocking direct sunlight or wind or vendor neighbors smoking cigarettes, which might have happened. And now watch me chase this poor volunteer away when he tried to help. To be honest, I don't like it when people just start helping without asking first because things just need to be done a certain way. I had a volunteer set up a table for me once and only discovered when I was knocking down at the end of the event that the table wasn't locked, and so it could have been a disaster. So these legs lock halfway up, so I put them up halfway and then move the tent into place before raising it to its full height. Okay, so now I'm going to get on my soapbox about tent weights. You need weights, at least 20 pounds on each tent leg, even if the event organizer doesn't require them, and even if they say you only need 10 pounds. And no disc weights, unless you have multiples stacked up and they can anchor to the tent legs. And this is a safety issue. I was at an event early on where someone had just had these 5 to 10 pound disc weights, and a gust of wind came that lifted the tent, and those discs went flying high into the air and they shattered into the tent beside it. Fortunately, no one was injured, although it did come close to a vendor and they were quite shaken by the experience. I was also at an event recently where a tent had no weights because they weren't required, but their tent still blew in the breeze and into the tent beside it, where a vendor was selling fragile items, and on 2 occasions we could hear breaking glass from that other vendor's handmade products. So don't be that vendor that puts other vendors' safety and products in danger. Okay, that's my soapbox. So these are 20-pound sand weights, which are great. I have new ones that I fill with 35 to 40 pounds each of sand and water that are even better. And here's a sign of a sturdy tent when it has this cross bracing inside. This will stand up to the wind much better than those that only have the perimeter structure. Signage. Okay, let's talk branding and visibility. This 9x1 foot banner on the top is one of the best investments I've made. At busy events, there are often too many people inside or around the tent for anyone walking by to see what I'm selling inside. So this sign that is over the crowd tells them that. And I put what I sell rather than my business name here because that's what's going to draw people from a distance. And this tent has loops on one side, so I use them to attach the sign with small bungee hooks. And this sign projects out from the tent to catch people's attention from a distance if they're walking down a row of tents or just from another angle. I've seen so many different styles of signs like this. I just use 2 vinyl signs that I attach together back to back. So it's 2-sided and strapped to the tent leg with a metal pole and reusable zip ties. You can also use a garden flag holder to attach a sign like this. And the big sign in the back helps with branding. It can be seen from far away, but it's mostly seen by those already inside the tent, and it also acts as a nice separator between yours and a tent that's right behind or beside you. Another quick note while we're on branding here and signage, I have never used a table runner. You'll see that when I show my table here soon. And a lot of vendors do have a table runner with their logo on it, and it looks great. And there have been many times when I've thought, oh yeah, a table runner, that would look nice. But for the most part, I find that they're very low. And once you have 1 or 2 people in your tent, they're just going to cover it up so people can't see it anyway. They're not visible really at all from a distance. So I prefer to keep all of my signage up high at eye level where it can't be blocked so easily. Grid panels are next, and I just wanted to comment that I like my displays bright and white because the lightness makes everything more welcoming and visible. The white panels and clear acrylic stands aren't exactly the most aesthetic. I personally prefer the look that a lot of vendors use with wood and natural materials, but white and clear are practical and show off my products best, and my choices are also limited by my car size and weight that I want to be lugging around. So that said, I love these grid panels. They free up floor space in the tent so more people can be inside and look at the same time, and they easily put products at eye level versus down on a table. I used to have standard standing grid panels that were such a pain to transport until I found these folding ones, and I'm obsessed. They are easy to transport and assemble. They don't require any tools. The old panels had legs that needed to be screwed on with little screws and nuts and washers with a screwdriver, and these just snap right into place. They are so quick and don't require any tools or tiny parts that can fall into the grass. So for cat toys, I use various hooks and sign holders that are native to this grid panel system, which are great because I can change up the display for every market depending on how many designs I want out, or whether the panel is 2-sided like it was on this day or just single-sided like it is for most events. For magnets, I hang these pegboards, which are the IKEA Scottish collection. I can fit more products on with these boards versus just the native standing panel since they're wider than those panels. And this is where I could use the most improvement though, because this is the display that takes by far the longest to set up. And then we have my favorite new addition to my setup, which is these classroom calendar pocket charts that I use to display stickers. My very first video was all about these. They're attached to the standing grid panels with notch hooks that are native to those standing grid panels. And then I use these beach towel clothes clips to secure them to the grid panel so that they don't move in the breeze. They have a nice wide opening so it fits around the grid panel frame. The calendar chart sticker holders are stored in these underbed boxes, which was the only style box I could find that holds something this flat, but the stickers couldn't be easier to set up and take down. Love them. And here we have my single 6-foot table that I use to display all my other smaller product lines. The table is on bed risers to lift it a little higher. Those few inches make a huge difference in putting everything a little closer to eye level, and they keep the table cover clean so it's not directly on the ground, especially when there's wet grass or dirt. Now let's talk about this table cover. When I started doing markets, I had the standard straight drop table cover and saw other vendors using these spandex ones and couldn't figure out why. I hated the way they looked, and for the most part, I still do. But then I had my first windy market and totally understood. While my table cover was flapping around, getting in the way of people trying to look at things in my tent and just being an overall nuisance, these spandex ones that wrap around the table feet just stay put. Now that I have this style, they are so practical. They don't wrinkle at all. I just bunch it up and throw it into a bin and don't have to worry about wrinkles. They're easily machine washable, and they come in so many colors that you can find the exact one to match your branding. As for these tabletop displays, the clear acrylic ones are all nail polish trays. They're great for small collections of products like Post-it notes and bookmarks, and I used them in the past for stickers too. The Chaser cat toys are in Oxopop containers without lids. Again, I love clear displays because you can see right through them, and the product is so easily visible. And these little shopping baskets are so cute. They rarely get used and mostly by kids, but when there's space on the table, I like setting them out because they're just so stinking cute. So time out with this checkout desk, and apologies to everyone who asks, but it's homemade. My husband made it and we designed it based on a checkout desk that Vertical Ledge used to sell, but this one is much smaller. It separates into just a few flat pieces because storage space. On top of the checkout desk is the square payment terminal. More on that in a bit. Oh, and I have a small desk mat on this desk to protect the surface. Behind the desk, we have our stash of paper shopping bags that I stamp with my logo. I use these mostly for cat toy sales, so they get a little card with all of my contact information so customers can find me later online, and also some helpful cat toy tips. Everyone who buys stickers, magnets, or smaller goods gets a slightly different info card with a plastic-free sleeve. I keep all of my cash change in a fanny pack. Sometimes I wear it, sometimes I don't. It's looking a little dirty. I should probably wash it. Here's my fan that I use for hot days. This particular model is okay. It doesn't really last at full speed for more than 4 hours, but it's rechargeable and it's really light and it doesn't take up much space. I keep coin change in this little lunchbox bento box. For my point of sale, I use Square. My online shop is Shopify, and I know they have a POS too, which would be helpful to link inventory, but I keep a separate market inventory and really don't want or need my market sales linked to my Shopify account. As you can see, I have just a few product types that I tap when creating an order, which makes checkout very fast for the customer. I have over 100 sticker designs, over 70 magnets, plus all these cat toys. It would be so frustrating and take forever to check out a customer if all of these product variations were listed individually in my POS. So this ability with Square works perfectly for me. The sales tax is built in, and all the various bulk discounts I have, like 3 for $36 cat toys and buy 3 get 1 free notepads, they happen automatically after setting those discount rules up in Square. These stools are great. I try to stand most of the time at markets, but if I need to rest, I prefer a seat that sits higher to be more eye level with the customers. And these are really lightweight and fold up pretty small. And then we have my cooler. This one has a shoulder strap, so it's easy to move around. Sustenance is very important to me at markets. I always have a few water bottles with cold water that I chilled overnight. I never want to run out of cold water. Let's see, I have a granola bar, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch. If we're at an event that covers one meal time, I bring my own meal, but if it lasts over lunch and dinner, I'll buy one meal at the event. Then we have pretzels and chips for the Sammy, and I keep my chargers in my cooler just so I always remember to recharge them when I get home, since the cooler is something that I empty after every event. Oh, and I always like a mid-market sweet treat, so I bought these amazing cookies from another vendor. I always have paper towels also because you never know when you need to clean up anything. This is my little box of essentials and emergency items. I'll take a note here that I label everything with my logo sticker, every box, every piece of my checkout desk, even my stool. That way there's never any question about who these things belong to. Another vendor isn't going to accidentally take something of mine. Event volunteers won't mix my stuff up with anyone else's. There are some events where volunteers help unload and then disappear with an armload of my things to go ahead to my spot. So I don't want anything getting lost or misplaced. The logo labels, one on each side of every box, really help with that. Okay, so inside this box I have clothespins to put on all of the hooks that hold my products for windy days. Market sunglasses. I have a special pair that I keep with my supplies, so I always have sunglasses. Let's see, hand sanitizer and sanitizing wipes. An extra hole punch in case I missed any of the cat toy header cards. Scissors, just an essential you never know you need until you need them. Always scissors. Hand lotion, usually more useful at cold markets. And tissues, always have tissues. And lip balm. Don't want a lip moisture emergency. Double-sided tape, just really useful for a lot of things, including putting signage up. Velcro wrap, another thing that's just useful for all sorts of unexpected situations, to hold up lights, signs, anything. All sorts of extra cords. And bug repellent wipes. I hadn't used these in months, but just used them at this very event when my legs started getting bit, and the wipes are just much better than bug spray. I also keep a copy of my business insurance and my sales tax license. Oh gosh, I need to clean this out. There's so much junk. More cords. So that's about it. Here's the full tent at the end of the event, pretty picked over. Again, everything I mentioned is linked below, but leave a comment if I missed anything. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful for you, and subscribe for more event vlogs coming up. The busy fall season is just getting started.